We're good. Well, good morning. I'd like to call the October 2023 Committee on Accreditation meeting to order. Will the staff please call the roll?
Allison Leggett, Augustine Cervantes,
Here.
Kathy Kreisha,
Here.
Katrina Chakowski,
Here.
Patrick McKee, Bob Fraley,
Here.
Alan Hallis,
Here.
Mike Hillis,
Here.
Marissa Lopez, Jason Lee,
Here.
Gerard Morrison,
Yep.
Kevin Taylor.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great. Thank you. Good to see you all. Good morning. I think last time we met, we were all on Zoom, right? Or online. So we do have someone new who is with us. Actually, we are at the last meeting, right? Yeah, but we didn't get a chance to actually see the entire you. So we'd like to officially welcome Patrick McKee. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And we have
The
anybody?
other two are not
Yeah, I
here.
was going to say the other two aren't. All right, thank you. Okay. Well, before we get started, let's go over the logistics with the web meeting. This meeting is being conducted in hybrid fashion. Excuse me. All members and most staff are participating in the commission office. Many other participants, such as institutional representatives and team leads, will be attending virtually. The Zoom link and a toll-free number has been made available to the public. Regarding microphones, please mute your laptop speakers and microphones and mute yourself on the Zoom video. This is a very important reminder to please press the button on your microphone to activate it when you speak. And if you do not do that, those recording or those listening online will not be able to hear your comments and they won't be recorded. It is also important to turn off your microphone when you are done speaking. For those participating via Zoom, we'd like to ask that everyone check their Zoom ID and be sure it contains your first and last name accurately, so we're able to call on you appropriately, and also so that we get all names accurately recorded in the record. If you need to update your name, click on the three dots in the window with your picture to bring up the rename option. When it is time to take up an item, we will need a moment to bring the appropriate attendees into the main meeting room and make sure they can see and hear the committee and that we can see and hear them as well. Participants will need to turn on their camera and unmute their microphone. Regarding public comment, if any member of the public wishes to comment on a specific item, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen during the item. You will be brought into the main meeting room at the appropriate time and asked to state your name and affiliation for the record. If you wish to speak on a specific item, please send a request through the chat feature telling us which item you wish to speak to so we can make sure to call on you during the appropriate time. Or you can send your comments through the chat feature and we'll be monitoring that and read those aloud. Please be sure we have your full name and affiliation and which item number and name you're referring to. There's also a time designated for general public comment at the end of the meeting. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded. After the meeting ends, the archived audio and video will be available via the Commission's website. Regarding motions and voting, when you make your motions, please state the motion in full so that there is no question what the motion is. Because committee members are all in person, a roll call vote is not necessary, so you may respond by either saying aye, no, or abstain when you're asked for your vote. Of course, we can always do a roll call vote if necessary. Any members have any questions about these protocols or voting today? All right, seeing none, before we get started, again, want to introduce Patrick McKee. And we mentioned the other two members cannot be joining us today. And I didn't get a chance. Anything else you wanted to say? I know you spoke a little bit at our last meeting about your background and so forth.
No, just excited to be here. Thank you, everyone, for being so welcoming, and it's great to see everyone in person. You know, we're all taller or shorter when we meet live,
right.
But it's nice to see everyone outside the Zoom field. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and welcome aboard. Item 2 is the approval of the October 2023 agenda. In case you hadn't noticed, staff has proposed trying the staff reports at the end of the meeting instead of where it is typically done in the morning. Staff believes this might be easier and able to estimate the times for some of the earlier times when institutional representatives are participating, so we don't keep people waiting. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the October 2023 meeting? And please remember to unmute your microphone when speaking.
So moved.
Member Morrison, so moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Hallis. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 3 is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 2023 meeting? It would be appropriate for any committee member who was not in attendance at that meeting to abstain. And before we get the motion, any member of the public wish to comment on the item? Okay, hearing and seeing none, is there a motion? Member Hallis.
I move to approve the minutes from the prior meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. I should have asked as well, any corrections or changes? I'm presuming the motion was made without that. So, okay, we're good. All right, item 4 is the co-chair and members reports. Any member have anything you wish to share? Member Tchaikovsky. Co-chair Tchaikovsky.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to describe an article that I saw in Education Week, which is a newspaper for educators, about a month ago that addressed accreditation across the nation. And it didn't speak specifically about California, but as I read it and realized the variance to which programs across the country are subjected, that it really made me appreciate California's system of accreditation, which is so articulated across wide, diverse geographic regions. And I think that our state, I was reminded, excuse me, that our state has a system which is really singular in the national context of teacher accreditation, which serves the kids in the state in a way that other students are not served. So just by way of realizing that, I wanted to acknowledge the staff here and the set of standards that makes possible the accountability that our state has for accreditation. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I guess this is the time to do that. So thank you, everybody here.
Great. Thank you for your comments. I think we all echo those comments. Every meeting, we just can't believe how much work is put in to make this possible and how robust this system is for accreditation. So again, thank you. Co-chair Tchaikovsky. Any other member have any comment? Yeah, Member Morrison.
I've taken up a new position this year. I'm president of my local association, and one of the honors I get to do is to go around and visit teachers in schools in my district. And one of the things that strikes me is just how overwhelmed teachers are in special education.
Yeah.
Seems as though whenever there's an issue, there's a problem, there's a staff shortage. Whenever you meet teachers who are at the end of the tether, they seem to be special education teachers. Now, I know that's not something that we're going to solve necessarily here, but it's been a real eye-opener for me. And maybe in our various positions, we kind of keep that in mind as we go about our business. Thanks.
No, thanks for mentioning that. I know special education often feels that they don't get the full representation within unions and so forth, but or even from the district levels. But it's a very unique and very necessary part of the educational process. Thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Co-chair Tchaikovsky.
Well, and if I could just add to what Member Morrison just said, I mean, I'm a classroom teacher. I have a 6th period class with 38 students in it, and nearly a third of them have either IEPs or 504s. And I'm a general education teacher, and there is no supplemental resource in my classroom to support the needs of those students. And the simple magnitude of that classroom, where there's literally 2 open seats in a classroom of sophomores in the afternoon, it makes it difficult to differentiate in the way that I need to do to really support those kids. So again, I'm not an education specialist, but the needs of students that are intended to be met by these specially credentialed teachers loom large. So yeah, I would corroborate what Jerry said about that. Although I will say that this is the first year I feel like kids in high school, from my worm's eye view in the classroom, are functioning pre-COVID. They're functioning again like they were before COVID. I mean, I advise 5 different clubs in addition to teaching, and the fact that I can even survive is kind of remarkable, but they want to do things. Kids want to gather after school. They want to interact with each other. This is the first year I feel like the wave is rising again. So that's really encouraging. You know, we have so many opportunities and kids are curious, they're thoughtful. We have AI as a tool that's unparalleled in my lifetime. So yeah, that's the flip side. You know, 38 sophomores can be a handful, but it's a wonderful handful today. No, I'm checking my email.
We'll
on
take
the
that off
side.
the record. All right, thank you for that. Yeah, member Cervantes.
No, thank you for those comments. And I think to synthesize a little bit and to also give kudos to our commission, one of the things I've noticed is now that I want to call it the post-COVID era of now collaboration, where a lot of grant funding and opportunities to create programs has sort of lend us the time, the opportunity, and the means to congregate, to build partnerships, to actually reach out to districts and have those meaningful conversations so that we can create programs and opportunities for training for future teachers that are substantive, that actually get to the common shared, the fatigue that special ed teachers are experiencing, but also general ed teachers not experiencing or not having at times the tools or the faculties to be able to deal with those students. In fact, there's a project I'm working on that's part of our ITEP expansion that deals with a dual credential, which has been, and working with LAUSD, of course, takes more than a smile, but it's been fun to see the lean in and to experience that level of collaboration where folks want to work on these things together. And we're collaborating in the same way you're collaborating with your students. It feels like we're really getting back to that normalcy. So I think there's something to look forward to. I'll say that.
Thank you, Member Cervantes. Any other member? I will say from Chapman University, where we have the music education program, I was pleased that all of our students, they graduated at the end of May, and within 2 weeks, they all had jobs for the fall. And I think that speaks very highly to the fact that Prop 28 made a big difference in reinstating music programs. So at least in Southern California, we cannot fill the jobs that are open out there. And the sad part about this is there are students who have been in longstanding music programs who don't have a teacher any longer. And so those programs, and naturally the students are no longer interested without a teacher. They're starting to leave and go other programs, or at least other interests, which is perfectly acceptable. But the idea is to try to find a way to satisfy the need out there for arts educators. Can't say one of them is my son, who graduated in May. He got his job, so I'm excited for him. He's teaching, so he's joined my daughter now. They're both music teachers. I'm really excited about that. Anyone?
Can I just remind everybody to talk directly into the microphone? We're getting some comments from the field saying they can't hear everybody. So just make sure you're right in front of the microphone.
All right, seeing no other member reports, we'll move on to item 5. Item 5 is program approval recommendations. Program approvals, this section is for action. Today, there are 5 institutions with 6 programs for approval. And we have representatives from the 5 institutions with us today to answer any questions you may have about the proposed programs. And I suggest we take these one by one, and then we'll vote for each one individually. The first one is California State University, Sacramento, for a designated subjects career technical education program. And do we have the representatives available? No, the screen's not there, so.
Yes, hello, I'm Jenna Porter from Sacramento State.
Okay, great. So we do have, thank you for joining us. So we have Dr. Jenna Porter, who is from Sacramento State, the Teaching Credentials Department Chair. Thank you. And is John Pillman with us today as well?
He said he's really going to try to log in. He might be a couple minutes late.
Okay, no worries. Mr. Pillman is the Sacramento State CTE Program Coordinator. Well, thank you, Dr. Porter, for joining us. Sorry. Are there any recusals on this item? All right, seeing none, Dr. Porter, would you like to say anything about the proposed program?
I'm just really excited that it's come to this point. It's we have quite the need in our region for CTE teachers. So it's just, we're happy to be able to provide this to teachers who need it. So thank you.
All right, thank you for the comments. Any committee members have any questions at all for Dr. Porter? Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Porter. I don't really have a question, but I just wanted to thank you for putting your energy behind expanding student access to CTE programs throughout our state. This is an area that families and kids are asking for. It's something that industry is expecting schools to marry to traditional subjects. So I appreciate your efforts, and I know how much time goes into putting together a proposal like this and getting it off the ground. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Member Taylor.
I'd like to echo those comments. I think these are really important programs. I'd urge you to make your materials publicly available so other people could review them. I struggled to get access to them using the username and password we were provided and couldn't actually see them. And having overseen a number of accreditation visits, there's no reason to keep these materials private. You can protect people's identities and information quite easily. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Taylor. Any other member? Member McKee.
Kind of on the same wave, it's just complimenting you, Dr. Porter. What I saw was the coherence and alignment with the CSTP's CTE standards. And we have a lot of teachers that come to us from a CTE credential that then move over to the single subject credential, and just looking at the coherence and the alignment, I think it's really setting the stage for successful careers, even if the path should shift down the road. So I just found that to be really a point of enlightenment in reading the report.
Thank you, Member Cervantes.
And along that same wavelength, maybe thinking into the future, being a little bit preemptive, is how can we intentionally create a program that then gets someone a single subject credential in a STEM related area, and then you have someone with a bigger sort of tool belt there that can prospectively teach different subjects. And I think areas like linked learning have taught us that when students find relevancy in what they're learning, more likely to get engaged and to continue to move forth in their education.
Yeah, thank you. We see that Mr. Pellman from Sacramento State is now online to join us. Good morning. Any comment you wish to make?
Thanks for having me. I apologize for being a few minutes late. I'm going to hold any comments. Because I don't know what has been discussed thus far, but as comments seem appropriate, I'll be happy to add. But thanks again for having us.
All right, fair enough. Sounds good. Any other committee member have any questions or comments? All right, Jeff.
Yeah, I just want to make sure to let the COA members know how hard Sac State worked on this proposal, as well as our IPR staff. I happen to know that there was lots of back and forth and lots of conversations that took place. And so this is a long time coming. So thank you for your persistence and your patience in getting us what we needed in order to put this forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hickey. All right, seeing no other questions or comments, is there a motion to approve the designated subjects career technical education program for Sacramento State University? Member Morrison.
I move.
And if you could state the motion in its entirety.
To accept the recommendation to approve the program, Sacramento State.
Thank you. Is there a second? Member Crecia. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Porter, Mr. Pellman, and congratulations. All right. And have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.
The second is, oh, you're welcome. The second is Santa Barbara County Education Office for a bilingual authorization in Spanish. Joining us today to answer any questions about the proposed program is Dr. Carlos R. Pagan, Director of the Literacy and Language Support. Are there any recusals on the item? All right, seeing none. Dr. Pagan, would you like to say anything about the proposed program?
Let's make sure he's on. There we go.
Good morning, Dr. Pagan.
Good morning. Can you hear me and see me okay?
We can. We just introduced the item and want to know if you have any comments or questions or like to discuss the program.
Yeah, so I started in my current position in 2014, and at that time we had 2 DLI programs. And fast forward, Proposition 58 in 2016, California Global 2030, and we are now up to 14 DLI programs in our county. all the way through high school, with a high number of students earning state seal by literacy. And we are seeing the growing demand for teachers who are fully authorized, the bilingual, they obtain the bilingual authorization, and very few, it's at this point, opportunities for them to add on that authorization for credential or in-service teachers. So we got working on a proposal that you have in front of you. And I also want to say that thank you to Miranda Gutierrez and her staff for all the guidance and all the patience in putting our proposal together and our application. But we are very excited. We have districts that are calling and asking when it's going to start, teachers who are on an interest list. So we are ready to start, ready to go.
Great. Thank you so much for your comments, and the growth has been tremendous. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
Any committee member have any comments or questions you wish to offer? Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yes, I again wanted to thank you for leading the way, going from just a few programs to 14. That's awesome. This is California. This is an incredibly diverse and important strength to grow in our students. I guess I was just curious, and the idea of adding this credential is a really untapped area for increasing the number of bilingual teachers in our state. Is there, if you had to identify any reason why your candidates don't obtain this authorization, is there any hurdle that tends to lie in their paths that needs to be examined? What might it be? I mean, when I saw CSET, I thought maybe that's it. Can you say something about that, perhaps?
Well, prior to Proposition 58, the number of bilingual programs were very limited, and I think that with the growth in interest, we have a good size of group of teachers who speak or are fluent in a second language, but because there was not the demand for their skills, I think did not pursue their bilingual authorization. So most of the teachers that are shown interest have been classroom teachers for a while and do have proficiency in a second language, but were never, there was the opportunity to be in an assignment that required them to use their second language was not there. So now that there is a demand for their skills, they are coming back and saying, how can I add this authorization? And so they're looking to online programs nearby. And so we want to make sure that there's locally an opportunity for them to do that as well.
But do you, I guess my question was, is the CSET a barrier to people like those you just described to earning a bilingual authorization or not? Do you provide specific support?
Yeah, I do not believe the CSET is the obstacle. The teachers that we're looking at are already in some of them are already in bilingual classrooms and have the proficiency of the language. And that was at this point, determined by districts and the interview process. But we have a lot of teachers that are in DLI programs currently that have demonstrated their proficiency in the first language. In there.
All right, thank you, Member Gracia.
Yes, along those same lines, with the CSET examination, what we found in our program is that the times that the iterations of that specific exam being given have been kind of hard for candidates to get through. But you're saying that you've kind of thought about that, and you guys are pretty confident that you're going to be able to place candidates, or that they already have that proficiency?
Yes, because we are looking at teachers, again, who are already in bilingual settings and need to complete the authorization courses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Cervantes.
First and foremost, kudos on putting a program together, especially from a county office of education. I think it certainly speaks to, in some ways, I work for a university, so it sort of reminds us that perhaps we weren't doing things exactly in ways where pre-service teachers were able to obtain this at that time. And you mentioned Prop 58, and that certainly played into the equation of who pursued it, when they pursued it, and whether they pursued it at all, right? I think my question is on fieldwork experience, considering that an authorization was not necessarily required or in place. I think about us learning how to ride a bike, and if you learn to ride the bike the wrong way or in your own way, right? Because you were surviving as a teacher, you were trying to figure out how to work with students who spoke a second language. How are you assuring that the 20 hours of fieldwork experience with the fieldwork supervisor or the colega are the right hours? And what I mean by that is where the best practices are, we're ensuring that that's happening, and we're quality assuring for those experiences, because my fear is that many times, and I've noticed it in my own context, it gets reductive. I found a supervisor that speaks Spanish, and I'm gonna have them be the individual folks come and observe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the person has been trained properly to be able to do this instruction in dual language or in dual immersion. So I'm just curious if you had a cadre of teachers you've been working with, in-service teachers that have been trained with practices that mirror and complement your program to ensure that the newbies are going to be able to pick those practices up and ride the bike in the better way, right?
Yes, we currently have a cohort of teachers who are fully authorized and have been working with us for a few years on especially items like Spanish literacy and how to teach Spanish reading. All our programs in our county are Spanish English at this point. So we know them very well, and we are identifying, we've already identified a few who will be excellent supervisors or colegas, and they will also participate in the field work experience is considered another course, a fourth course. So we will be, in addition to the actual time that they're teaching, the teachers will work with us as well to continue the training on best practices for dual language immersion.
Thank you.
Great, thank you both. Any further comments or questions from committee members? All right, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the bilingual authorization in Spanish for the Santa Barbara County Office of Education? Member Taylor.
I move we approve the bilingual authorization program in Spanish for Santa Barbara County Office of Education.
So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member McKee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Pagan.
Thank you, and thank you all committee members for your time.
Great, thank you as well. Have a good day. Third program is the Los Banos Unified School District for a Clear Administrative Services Credential. Joining us today to answer any questions about the proposed program are Barbie Severns, Induction Coordinator, Nancy Gilardi, Induction Coordinator, and do we also have Dr. Tammy Calzadillas with us? We do, thank you, and she is the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. Any recusals on the item? First question that I will ask the representatives is clarification. We have a little debate. Is it Los Banos, or we don't see the tilde, so is it Los Banos?
It
I
depends.
thought Banos, but
It depends on who you ask.
what's the question? Oh, got it. We have good attitudes here, so we want to be sure we're right.
Either
Well,
is
as long as we
fine.
have you here, okay. Well, thank you for joining us. Would you like to say anything about your proposed program?
Well, members, I know how closely you read all of the program submissions, so I'm certainly not going to reread or tell you anything you've already read. But I do want to reiterate what you were saying this morning. I am also a BIR member myself, and I know how seriously those members took their responsibility to review this program. This is an accreditation system that I truly do believe strongly in. I see how successful it is. And this process really confirmed that, because not only did we look at our current teacher induction program again, but we also really analyzed what we were thinking about for this administrator induction program. So I agree. Kudos to the commission for developing a very strong accreditation system.
Thank you for those comments, Ms. Severance. And we know we've seen you here before the committee from time and time again. So thank you again for joining us in this capacity.
I know, I almost wanted to say, I'm back.
Any other member of the institution wish to offer any comment? All right, seeing none. Any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Los Baños Unified School District? Member Hallis.
Good morning, and thank you for a wonderful submission. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the summative assessment where you have the coach, the site principal, the induction coordinator, and the assistant superintendent of HR all coming together around this assessment, and maybe talk a little bit about how those site principals and the assistant sup are going to be trained and calibrated just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Absolutely. It's a system that I'm kind of building off of from the Merced County Office of Education program that our administrators have currently attended. And so it's their opportunity to really look over their IIP and the goals that they had set, as well as all of the capsules. And so our plan is that they will get kind of a trial run with the benchmark assessment that they are doing as a group setting. And then the second year is when they come back and they review and reflect upon all 6 capsule, not just the 3 that they had done their goals around. And calibration is going to be huge, and that is going to involve an additional training with the assistant superintendent of HR and the site principals that have new administrators on their campuses, as well as all of the coaches, so that we all are looking at these capsules and fully understanding when we look at that rubric score sheet that I have developed to make sure that we all are identifying exactly what it needs to look like. So it will be a whole additional training session prior to the time that they are presenting. Does that help?
Thank you so much.
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other member have any comment or question? Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Well, and as I listened to you respond to Member Hallis's question, it occurred to me that having some exemplars or exhibits from these presentations in some way captured that could be illustrative for people coming along down the road might be something to think about too. Like how can you capture the multiple ways that people can demonstrate proficiency in a particular skill? I think that's a question that I would be interested in considering as the plane takes off here, to kind of build some infrastructure ahead of time so you can capture a variety of ways that people could illustrate expertise. I think that's something that we all struggle with in this field, is finding ways that are both ways of assessment or evaluation that are aligned with the standards and not prescriptive and limiting. So, there's many rooms in the house of 3 kind of idea that, excellence can look a variety of ways. I think that might be something that you could contribute to the field since you've done everything else. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a great idea. And I agree. I think, providing those examples and honestly, non-examples both, so that they fully understand going into it what is expected by the end of their 2 years.
Thank you. Any further comment or question? Member Taylor.
I'd like to encourage you to put your materials out there so that they're publicly accessible. I personally had trouble accessing them and hiding behind the technology and the limited access always seems inappropriate to me for materials for accreditation through the state. So I'd like to urge you to obviously protect people's identity, but put your accreditation materials out there for public review. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Taylor. Anyone else have any comments or questions? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the Clear Administrative Services Program for Los Baños Unified School District? Member Hallis.
I move we approve the Clear Administrative Services credential for Los Banos Unified School District.
So moved. Is there a second? A second by Member Lee. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Severns, Ms. Gilardi, and Dr. Casadillas. We appreciate your time and your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so
much.
Yep. Have a good day.
Thank
you.
Moving on to the fourth item is University of Massachusetts Global for Pupil Personnel Services, School Social Work Program, and Child Welfare and Attendance Authorization. Joining us today to answer any questions about the proposed program from UMass Global are Dr. Amber Ramirez, School Social Work Director and Associate Professor, Dr. Toby DeLong Hamilton, Program Director and Associate Professor, and Dr. Brad Damon, Associate Dean of the School of Education. Are there any recusals on the item? One recusal, Member Cracia. Would the institutional representative like to say anything about the program?
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to thank everyone for taking your time and effort to read through our proposal and the guidance from the CTC in submitting this. We are very excited to be able to put this proposal forward to offer school social work credential, a PPSC, at the University of Massachusetts Global. Since we've developed our MSW program, we've had students left and right constantly ask for this. So we are eager to be able to now provide this to them.
All right, thank you. Any other member wish to offer comment from the institution?
Hi, Brad Damon, Associate Dean for School of Education. I would just like to say how happy I am to be here in collaboration with our School of Arts and Sciences colleagues. We have a really vibrant PPS school counseling and school psych program, and they recently received accreditation here back in June, meeting all program standards. And so I just wanted to say what a great collaboration this has been, and I'm here to fully support your consideration.
Great, thank you. Dr. Ramirez, any comment you wish to offer? Oh,
No.
no, sorry, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Dr. DeLong Hamilton?
Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate your consideration today.
All right, thank you. With the institution, I'm sorry, any committee members have any questions or comments at all for the representatives of UMass Global? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the Pupil Personnel Services School Social Work Program and Child Welfare and Attendance Authorization for the University of Massachusetts Global? Sorry, Member Taylor, good luck.
So moved.
No, you can't get away that easy.
I move that we approve the Administrative Services Credential Program for the University of Massachusetts Global.
It's
And just for clarification, it'd be the PPS. the
Oh,
Pupil
sorry,
Personnel.
PPS, the Pupil Personnel Services Credential offered by the University of Massachusetts Global.
All right, so moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Hillis. Any further discussion?
And does that include the CWA authorization? Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure.
Yep. All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you and have a great day. The final one for this section is Long Beach Unified School District for a preliminary administrative services credential. Joining us today to answer any questions about the proposed program for Long Beach Unified School District are Kelly Ann, Superintendent of Human Resources Services from LBUSD, Katie Hickox, Program Administrator, Equity Leadership and Talent Development, LBUSD, and Dr. David Lorden, Professor of San Diego State University. Are there any recusals on this item? Member Morrison.
Sadly, before I say hello to my colleagues from Long Beach, I'm going to have to recuse myself.
All right, thank you. So noted. Any other recusals? We missing one of the three?
Do we know if Katie Hickok is going to be joining us? Hickok?
Katie actually was urgently called back to her school site.
Okay.
Okay,
That's fine.
no worries.
Thank
So
you.
Dr. On or Dr. Lorden, would either of you like to offer any comment?
Sure. I would just like to really thank the panel for considering this proposal. We are very excited in Long Beach Unified to hopefully be able to offer our own preliminary administrative services credential. When we look at our data in the upcoming years, we know that we'll have anywhere from 20, 25, 30 administrator vacancies per year. And so we are excited with our, continued partnership with Dr. Lorden to offer our own program to continue building our equity-driven school leaders and providing a rigorous program around coursework, field work, a culminating exam. And so the opportunities that we're looking to provide potential administrators in our system is aligned with the work we're currently doing around equity leadership in Long Beach. So thank you for even having us on today.
Oh, thank you. Our pleasure. Dr. Lorden, any comment you wish to offer?
Yes, I just want to say that I really appreciate the time you've taken to look at the proposal and our partnership with Long Beach. It has been tremendous. We will be here to support them in the implementation of the program and super excited to be a part of this journey.
Hey, thank you. Nice to know they have your support. Any committee members have any questions or representatives from Long Beach Unified? Member Lee.
First, I'd like to say thank you for putting such a complete program together. I really enjoyed looking at the foundation in equity and the materials you put together. It's always one of those situations where you have a program in our own county. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to make a note to go back and look at the materials I put together because it was really comprehensive and is something that is beneficial to anybody that's running a program. I did have a question about just looking at the kind of exit exam, and obviously you guys haven't gone through this yet, but I'm just curious about how this ties in with the formative or performance assessment of the Cal IPA together, and what kind of thought about making this either in line or maybe even a separate document, or why it maybe be a separate process than the Cal IPA.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start, Dr. Lorden, and if you want to add anything on.
Sure thing.
When we think about the culminating exit exam, we know that there's one piece to pass the 3 portions of the Cal EPA, but we also want to make sure that a candidate has an opportunity for really deep reflection. And that's why one thing that we've added is the written narrative on the 6 prompts to their supervisor or coach. So we believe in providing opportunities for them to engage in actual leadership, experiences, having a coach who can support them in that, and then also the reflection and how they might do something differently, moving forward as they try that out. We also believed in conducting a 30-minute presentation because there's a lot of learning that happens in the course of a year. And so kind of compiling the work around here is their, for example, like a field assignment around an equity gap that they're noticing, and the building of a team and the addressing of the data and how to implement something. And so we felt like that opportunity and coming together and saying, what did you learn overall? Right? How might you, summarize your learning, and what are some of the key lessons learned that you want to take with you moving forward? And what are some of the key things that you want to share to folks coming in new to the program as well? Dr. Lorden, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, all that. And there is an emphasis throughout this program on developing the dispositions that leaders would need. And so oftentimes we can be successful in coursework, we can be successful in perhaps the field work, but then developing those dispositions that really matter and building the relationships with all of your stakeholders. And that was a lot of the thinking in having the culminating exit exam really reflect on your growth and understanding of those necessary dispositions.
My favorite piece was the section that talks about the individual interrogation of your previously held assumptions. To me, I think that's a pretty when you make that transition from classroom teacher to maybe a, assistant principal or leadership position or a different leadership position, it's important for you to kind of think of that. Thank you.
One of the things, and to add to that, one of the things that we learned through Cal APA is that candidates struggle most with the last part, and that is leadership self-reflection. And so we really wanted to be purposeful in building self-reflection rubrics that really were more than just, here's what happened. Here's actually what I'm learning about myself as a leader and how I'm transforming.
Thank you, Member Hillis, and then Member Cervantes.
First of all, just well done on the program submission. The question that I have is really one more just of curiosity, that I know partnerships are oftentimes more organic than strategic. And so it did kind of strike me when I was reading through why the district would partner with San Diego State faculty as opposed to the university in their backyard at Long Beach State. So just curiosity of how that may have evolved.
Yeah. Well, we do have partnerships with universities in our backyard, but we strategically partnered with San Diego State. And in particular, it actually started with Dr. Doug Fisher, because what we were the work that was happening in San Diego was around creating equity-focused leaders. And that was in line with our core, our core values here in Long Beach. And so because of that nexus and that core belief, we have been partnering with San Diego for many years now in a multitude of different programs and just professional development, I'll say.
Thank you, Member Cervantes.
First and foremost, kudos. I think it's a great undertaking. Creating a program that's equity-based and comprehensive. It's a tall order, and I guess I had two questions. Number one is you have a lot of novice beginning administrators, right? I was curious if you were going to utilize other, I think there's one thing to teach somebody how to run a school, but it's also super important for them to understand how your entire district functions and works. Were you going to use, I was just curious if it was part of the works. I know you have talent acquisition and other units helping, but I think just general exposure to all your education services departments would be great. Anybody doing student services, special services, etc. It would provide a good orientation and a good sort of ontology to the organization. So maybe that's more of a comment, but I'm wondering if that's going to be infused into the inner workings. And then number two, if you are doing something equity based, I'm curious as to how you're training the folks facilitating and instructing your courses. I saw that you have the principals doing it. I'm wondering if they're going through some type of training themselves to be more equity minded and to be able to then impart that knowledge to your novice administrators.
Yeah, great questions. So the short answer is yes to both. So one thing is we do believe in, as past candidates come through, their coaches will be current administrators, because it's really important for them to see kind of boots on the ground and see a multitude of different leadership styles and different experiences that happen. I think that, so with that said, we also do lots of, I'll just say, guest speakers in our sessions where different senior team members come through and just share, this is what the work looks like, right? Because as a site leader, you see one side to it. You don't always see all the behind the scenes. And so part of the learning as we're training new administrators is we want them to see the behind the scenes pieces, right? And the process that happens in different departments and working with special education and knowing about all of the different varieties of programs that we offer to students, right? Or what support looks like in terms of our MTSS interventions. And so yes, I think that's a great comment. We're definitely planning to weave that in as guest speakers and opportunities for folks to just shadow. And I think, did I answer your?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's for the first one. And I appreciate the answer because I think as folks see, TV's one off. Oh, I think as folks see the behind the scenes work, I think it's great that you're infusing it, and the guest speaker model can certainly work. It's good andragogy all around. Yeah, my second question was more on equity training or equity based training for folks who are going to be instructing in your program.
Right. So for a number of years, we've actually been partnering with a few different folks. Our most recent is with the Leadership Academy. And from New York, and that partnership formed through Wallace, but they have been coming out and doing training with our principals and principal supervisors around the equity leadership dispositions and what it means to be an equity-centered leader. And so a large piece of this work, and that's the reason why we tied and combined with San Diego State, because their past program was focused on creating equity-centered leaders. We have been doing this for a number of years with our principals. Now this is aligning that work. And so in our system, we're able to say, hey, how do we not just promote someone and then you step into a principalship and say, okay, you have to start being an equity-centered leader, right? We all know that it's a process. It's an individual process, and it's also a collective process around what it looks like and sounds like in our system. And so the training is ongoing through our K-12 or TK-12 principal meetings that happen every month, as well as our level principal meetings.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ong. Co-chair Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, hi. Just super quickly, I just had two questions for you. I noticed that in your placement plan, you indicated that your candidates would be placed at their current school site, but not working with the supervising administrator. And knowing the diversity of schools in your district a little bit, that's not always going to be possible. So I was wondering how you plan to differentiate placements so that people can, in fact, pursue equity-minded leadership without being subject to the supervision of the current leadership at their school. Because it's a trick. It's one thing to write about it, and it's another thing to actually do it, right? And the second question is, given that you have been working with the same people and a very small group of them for a while, do you have any kind of like advisory group or governance board or committee that includes external voices as this program gets launched?
Yeah,
those are my two questions.
Okay. So yes, in regards to your first question around placement, so this is actually only my second month as the assistant superintendent of HR. Prior to this, I was 8 years in equity, leadership, and talent development. And so the placement piece has been a huge part of our pipeline work. And what I mean by that is even when folks come through our other certificated pipeline programs, they have an opportunity to shadow. And so I look at this PASC program as a similar opportunity in that if I am placed at one type of school, right, let's say it's on the east side of town, that might be my whole experience. And so it's really important through the PASC program to be able to have an opportunity at different levels, maybe middle school, high school, and also different sides of town, like the north side and the west side. So we look at that as we look at individual candidates, right? The type of principal that they've been under, the type of experiences that they've had, and how do we provide different opportunities? And so we make those placements actually through what's called our steering committee, where a number of us get together and we look at, okay, what are the needs and how do we best set someone up for success by providing the most varied opportunities for them before stepping into an official administrative role. And in
Well, that's not what your documentation shows, though. I mean, what I read in your report is that people are placed at their site. So I guess what you just described is very different than what I read. And perhaps I didn't read closely enough to understand what you said. So that's helpful.
So yeah, so this I'm gonna speak in. They are placed at their site because the work that they have to do for CalAPA is very much site driven, but the shadowing experiences are where we give them an opportunity to shadow at other sites and get other experiences.
So they could still report to their supervising person if there's only one administrator. I mean, obviously it's complicated. I was just trying to wrap my head around how that would protect people to take the risks that they need to form their identity as future leaders in an equity-minded framework.
Yeah.
Just a follow-up. Can you describe
Member Creation.
the committee? Who are the members, and are there external members as external from the organization that help to guide those decisions?
Yes. So I know the second question before was around that too. So yes, there is an external committee and it consists of different members. For example, Dr. David Lorden is on there. We have San Diego State faculty on there. We also have some Cal State Long Beach and Long Beach City College, members on this committee. So it is not just an internal Long Beach Unified Committee.
I would encourage you to just to collect input and feedback from people outside San Diego State and Long Beach, community members, people who may have alternate interpretations. This is new, and so getting some formative data from outside the partnership could be useful to you. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
And just to follow up on that, what has been useful for our program is to talk to some of the superintendents and to find those types of community leaders to get their interpretation and get that feedback as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Any questions or any further comments? Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the preliminary administrative services credential program for Long Beach Unified School District? Member Hillis.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the preliminary administrative services credential for Long Beach Unified School District.
Well done. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Lee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both.
You.
All right, have a great day.
You too.
Considering the time, we're going to come back to item 6 later. We're going to move on to item number 7 right now. Item 7 is the initial program approval for new program sponsors, Mills College at Northeastern University. Consultant Hart Boyd will introduce the item, and joining him today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representatives, Dr. Tomas Gaguera, Chair of the Teacher Education Department for the Mills College campus, and Mike Jackson, Vice Provost of Curriculum and Programs for Northeastern University. Does anyone need to recuse himself? Seeing none, Mr. Boyd, will you please begin?
Yes, thank you. This item presents Mills College at Northeastern University's responses to the Preliminary Education Specialist Early Childhood Special Education Program Standards for the committee's consideration and possible approval, as we are in stage 4 of the initial institutional approval process. A team of 2 qualified reviewers collaborated on a review of the institution's responses and came to a consensus on a final finding of aligned for all program standards. Additionally, staff reviewed the preliminary education specialist preconditions and have found them to be met. As a reminder, at the conclusion of stage 3, Mills College at Northeastern University was granted provisional approval by the commission at its June 2023 meeting. It is important to highlight that provisional approval only authorizes an institution to offer educator preparation programs, but it is the determination of the COA which decides whether or not a specific program is approved. You will find a hyperlink to the final submission and reviewer feedback on page 2 of this item. Again, joining us today are Mike Jackson and Thomas Galguera. They will both be available to answer any programmatic questions you may have, and staff is available to answer any process questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Boyd. Any member of the institution wish to offer any comment?
Good morning. We're very excited to get at this point in the review process. Hart and the team of CTC has been extremely supportive throughout, and we're very, very excited to build on the new chapter at Mills College now within the Northeastern University ecosystem. We've been very, very excited about all the support and all the commitment to the values and the practices that we are known for at Mills College, and we're looking forward to doing much more exciting new work building on our history. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Galguera. Mr. Jackson, any comment you wish to offer?
Yeah, I would just echo Tomas and say that Northeastern University has really been committed to honoring and respecting and maintaining the legacy and the tradition of teacher education at Mills College. These programs are the first programs that the university has approved and will be launching in Oakland at the Oakland campus and through the 10th college of the university, Mills College at Northeastern. So we're very excited for this and really looking forward to hopefully being able to start enrolling students in the fall.
Great, thank you. Any comments or questions on committee members? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve Mills College at Northeastern University's preliminary education specialist early childhood special education program? Member Taylor.
I move that the COA approve the application of Mills College at Northeastern University for the provisional approval to offer the I'm looking for the correct word.
Early childhood special ed.
Yeah.
For the early childhood special education credential.
So moved. Is there a second? Member Morrison. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations and thank you for joining us, Dr. Galguera and Mr. Jackson, and also Mr. Boyd. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
And have a great day. Item 8 is the discussion of institutions not in compliance with accreditation timelines, and there are no missing documents to report at this time. So quick, moving on to item 9. And I again want to thank the committee members for your comments and your questions and thoughtful discussion that we're having this morning. So thank you for doing that. So item 9 is the actions taken to address stipulations from San Francisco Unified School District. Consultant Karen Scott Sacramento will introduce the item, and joining her today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representatives, Molly Pope, Supervisor Pathways to Teaching Program, and Dr. Sendi Zhu, Special Education Lead Coach, and Aman Follow Policy and Data Manager. Did I get that pronunciation correctly? This person's not with us.
I think we're missing.
We're missing. Okay.
One. So just give it 1 minute.
Sure. And while we're doing that, does anyone need to recuse themselves? We have one recusal, Member Hallis. All right, looks like we have everybody here. So Ms.
There he is. All right.
Ms. Sacramento, will you please begin?
All right. Good morning, COA members. This report provides the actions taken by San Francisco Unified School District in response to the required 1-year out report, as well as the steps that are continuing to be taken to address site visit stipulations. The San Francisco Unified School District site visit was held in May of 2022. Staff worked with San Francisco program leadership, and in the spring of 2023, the required year out report was submitted and staff initiated the review process at this time. As stated in the report, there are overlapping factors that have impacted the implementation timeline of the steps taken to fully address all stipulations. Within the program leadership of San Francisco Unified School District, there has been a significant amount of recent turnover, and concurrently, there have been program changes to adhere to new standards, to strengthen existing systems, and to meet the stipulation requirements. Staff has continued to work with San Francisco Unified Program leadership to provide technical assistance during this process on both the current program offerings and on fully addressing all stipulations. In this report shared today, staff recommends the removal of stipulations B, C, and D, which pertain to the Education Specialist Intern Program. This recommendation is based on a thorough staff review of program coursework, assessments, and additional assignments. And a part of this additional curriculum, within that, the program has included more information on developing an ITP, behavior support plans, and interventions. And also San Francisco has provided evidence related to their candidate performance and coaching on the TPAE, with updated syllabi showing where candidates practice, assess, and assess their knowledge of the new mild to moderate support. So this evidence all led to staff being able to determine with fidelity that stipulations B, C, and D have been fully addressed. San Francisco Unified continues to work with staff to fully address stipulations A, E, and F, which pertain to the bilingual and preliminary programs. San Francisco Unified has submitted partial information showing the needed evidence for these remaining stipulations, and staff is continuing to work with program staff on the full submission and review of the complete needed evidence as it connects to both outstanding stipulations and recent program implementation changes. This has been ongoing work over the last few months as they have met with us and continue to provide evidence. So based on this, staff recommends that the COA maintain stipulations A, E, and F, and for the institution to provide an additional report for consideration at the January 2024 COA meeting to you, demonstrating that it has fully addressed all remaining stipulations. This concludes the staff report part at this time, and I would be glad to answer any questions you have, and I know institutional representatives are here as well to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Sacramento. And if I could just call members' attention to the report that we have noted in our agenda and items there within there, just on page 1, the staff recommendation is listed there in its entirety. So just be sure you have a chance to read through that, as well as the table 1, the accreditation decisions and consequent institution activities that we have before us too, as we begin our discussion through here. So any member of the institution wish to offer any comment?
I just wanted to thank everybody for having us, and especially thank Karen Sacramento and her team for working with us. As she mentioned, there has been sort of a significant amount of leadership change. I'm relatively new to Pathway, however, I've been with the district for a long time. Also, we recently moved into the HR department. So that was a change from the curriculum and instruction, so an internal move, and that department has had leadership change as well. So it's been a time of transition for us, but we are committed to doing this work. And I just thank everybody for their patience and their support while we do this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pope. Any other member wish to offer any comment? All right, seeing none, this is an opportunity for committee members to offer any questions or any comments that you may have. Member Lee.
I just appreciate the work you've done in light of the amount of changes that have taken place in your district, because that certainly complicates things. And it's clear that you're committed to kind of do the work that needs to get done to meet the needs of the students in your district. So I appreciate that. And so that's not just in large districts like yours, but districts all over are in that situation. And so just keep up the good work.
Thank you. Member McKee.
And I want to extend as well just my commendations looking at an education specialist intern program. These teachers are working with students, and the fact that you focused first on making sure they know how to write and deliver an IEP is so important. So I was glad to see that that work has been done, because that's what matters most to kids. So thank you.
Well noted. Thank you. Good comment. Any other comments or questions? Any questions at all for Ms. Sacramento? Member Tchaikovsky, sorry, Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I'm thinking ahead to the next update here in terms of what types of products or evidence might be instructive to us in terms of addressing those remaining 3 stipulations. And I guess reading through the report, I'm thinking that really what I'd be interested in seeing is more specific evidence of candidate competence and achievement of of standards? Like, what does that going to look like in your program in order for people to have met requirements? And I noticed that you house things online, but I think I would like to see a little more specific information about what actually meets your standard. If you could articulate that, I think that might be helpful. And then in terms of your bilingual candidates, how are they being supported beyond their own growth plan? I think that's something that might be helpful, especially in light of what we've heard this morning already. I echo my colleagues' commendation on addressing the ed specialist needs. I think turning that same type of attention to your bilingual candidates could be helpful in terms of building some structures that support these high value teachers moving forward. I think those are like the two comments that I was going to make about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Co-Chair Tchaikovsky. Any further comments or questions from committee members? All right, as a reminder, this is an action item and we're looking for a motion. And just as a reminder, pardon me, staff's recommendation again is on page 1 to remove the stipulations related to the education specialist intern program, and that SFUSD would come back in January of 24 with evidence that it has fully addressed the remaining stipulations. Sorry, Member Taylor.
I recommend that we remove stipulations B, C, and D and maintain stipulations A, E, and F for San Francisco Unified School District.
All right, so moved. Is there a second? Member Gracia, any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the motion carries. So thank you for joining us and for your work on it. We look forward to the update in January. Again, thank you, Ms. Pope, Ms. Yu, and Mr. Falal, and of course, Ms. Sacramento. Thank you all. Should we do item 10? Item 10 for 10:15? Okay, so we're going to keep moving along. We'll come back to item 6 later in the day. Right now, we're going to go to item 10. And item 10 is a discussion of the third quarterly report for Pasadena Unified School District. Consultant Karen Sacramento will be here again. She's going to introduce the item. And joining her today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representatives Han Lei, Program Lead, and Dr. Sergio Canal. Is Sergio with us? Dr. Canal with us? Looks like not yet. Dr. Canal is the Chief Human Resources Officer.
Dr. Canal will not be able to attend this morning, but in his place will be Dr. Jen Alcazar as soon as she's able to join in.
Okay, great. Alcazar, thank you.
Do you see her in the Cheyenne? Not yet. Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye out for her.
Okay, I think we can move forward and have Ms. Sacramento do the report. Anyone need to recuse themselves?
I'll be recusing.
All right. Member McKee. All right, Ms. Sacramento, will you please?
All right, you've got me again. Good morning, committee members. I am glad to report on the continued actions taken by Pasadena Unified School District in this third quarterly report to address stipulations that resulted from their November 2022 site visit. Just a little recap: at the January 2023 COA meeting, the accreditation status granted to Pasadena Unified was accreditation with major stipulations. And at that time, the COA directed Pasadena to provide evidence and information on the actions that they had taken to immediately address the teacher induction precondition 4 stipulation, which was done and presented to you in their first quarterly report in March of 2023. From there, Pasadena Unified School District has continued to diligently address the additional stipulations included in a second quarterly report that was presented to you in August and now in this report. Pasadena Unified has worked very closely with staff and other teacher induction program leaders to seek guidance and implement changes, including our monthly meeting that I hold with them, where they both seek and implement input to attend to the actions and evidence needed to address these concerns. So this report provides the detail and the direction on the cumulative changes that Pasadena Unified School District has made to address the stipulations. I'm going to provide an overall summary of the actions in relationship to each stipulation, and then the district representatives can provide greater information as needed. So stipulation 2 is around PUSD's comprehensive continuous improvement process to regularly assess program effectiveness and then make modifications. The response includes program evidence provided on the systemic collection, analysis, and use of multiple sources of candidate and program data to reflect the effectiveness of unit operation. Stipulation 3 is around the unit actively involving others, faculty, instructional personnel, relevant stakeholders in the organization coordination and decision-making for the teacher induction program. Program evidence on this includes, among other areas, the steps that have been taken to create a robust and involved steering committee and advisory board. Stipulation 4, for stipulation 4, Pasadena Unified has provided multiple points of evidence as well to ensure that faculty and instructional personnel regularly and systematically collaborate across settings with P12 colleagues, college and university units, and the members of the broader educational community. Pasadena Unified has provided evidence on how they do this internally with their own district collaboration and the connections that have been formed and strengthened with IHEs and other collegial partners. Stipulation 5, on sufficient resources. Pasadena has provided evidence for that as they've shown their program's commitment to both financial and personnel resources and the ongoing plans around that. Stipulation 6 requires that the program evaluate and demonstrate how it's having a positive impact on candidate learning and competence. And evidence around this in the report can be seen around multiple survey and feedback measures that have been instituted and analyzed, as well as some other areas. Stipulations 7, 8, and 10, those connect to program standards directly and the ILP and the mentoring system and assessment of candidate competency. And again, the program has provided multiple points of evidence that they have enacted since the site visit, and these include a revised ILP, the role of the steering committee in that, the rubrics for measurement of practice, and the training, involvement, and ongoing plans and goals for mentor support. And then finally, stipulation 10 addresses the program need to provide, to assure quality of all services, and evidence is provided in the report through areas of mentor formative feedback, processes, survey, employer input, and then the focus on the increased mentor selection and training processes. So you have much more evidence in the report. That's just some of the highlights. Staff recommends that the Committee on Accreditation accept this report, but take no further action at this time. And staff looks forward to bringing back a final report, the final required report, following the Pasadena Unified School District site visit revisit in January of 2024. So thank you for consideration of this item. And again, the institutional representatives and I are glad to answer any questions that you may have for us.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Sacramento. We now invite institutional representative to offer any comment on the report. And Ms. Lee, do we just have, are you the only one joining us? So Dr. Alcazar is not yet here.
Yes, it looks like it's just going to be me right now.
Okay, no worries. Any comment you wish to make?
No, I was just listening when Ms. Sacramento was listing all those stipulations, and it is quite a list. And I'm just so proud of the work that our district has done. It's a new school year, so a lot of the things that we learned from the last accreditation visit, we've made a lot of positive changes, some that Ms. Sacramento has listed, and then just being really proactive this year with things that we took from that meeting, things that we started establishing at the end of last school year, and then now, you know, like I said, being very proactive moving forth, and then not only being proactive, but continuing some of the practices that were really positive for this year. So just I'm just really excited about looking forward to the January visit, actually.
All right, thank you for your comments. Opportunity for committee members to offer any comments or questions and engage in discussion. Member Hellis.
I just want to compliment you on how proactive the district has been. If you could speak a little bit more about how the current candidates and mentors are responding to some of these changes you're putting forward already, and how their voice of the current candidates and mentors are really being taken into account for what kind of future changes and how they're helping shape the program moving forward.
Thank you. So there are many venues that I've made sure this year that we hear the candidate and mentor voice. So at every mentor seminar, which I hold every month, or mentor PD that I hold, I get feedback from those PDs immediately. And then if needed, I reach out to particular mentors if there was any areas of concern. Same thing with candidate feedback after every PD that we give them, which is also monthly. I also solicit feedback from them, and then I make that feedback very transparent in a newsletter that I share with all candidates and mentors periodically, maybe about every 3 weeks. And then I have also implemented opportunities for candidates to give anonymous, or to me only, information on how their mentors are supporting them. And then vice versa, we also have a way for mentors to give feedback on, how their candidate, and if they have any concerns, they let me know if they're having any concerns with their candidate. There's also, one of the things I'm really proud of this year is also having something called a mentor roundtable, which is 3 times a year where mentors can also come outside of those monthly PDs, and we collaborate around just-in-time issues and or things around the ILP. So that gives another chance for feedback, as well as at the steering committee meetings, which is composed of mentors, selected mentors who come to this meeting, and they give me feedback as well on that. And so with all that comprehensive feedback, we make changes continuously.
All right, thank you. Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that last answer, and for being here, and for putting all the time into what I think is a kind of a hallmark of our system, which is documenting outcomes and expectations with some data and using those formatively. I mean, to me, what you just described is doing exactly that, anticipating what you might want to collect, thinking about how you might want to use that, and then making a determination about what changes in your program might result. So yeah, hopefully January is fun as anticipated. Thank you for your smile this morning.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
And
Any further comment or question? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say I have learned really from some of the best. I really reached out to Cluster 4 and certain members on Cluster 4 to help me out. I really could not do this work without their guidance. I am asking questions all the time, and they're always responsive and helping me out. So that and Miss Sacramento have, with regular check-ins, we've really been able to make a lot of improvements.
Excellent. Well, you're definitely in great hands with this Sacramento. Member Cervantes.
No, yeah, I want to echo the kudos here. I appreciate, the integration of a new learning management system. I know a lot of these things sort of feel like I don't want to do them, but I got to drag my feet in that direction and get that done. I think silver lining to a lot of this is that progress can be contagious. Other teachers may want to serve as mentors. It can also start to disrupt institutional culture holistically in a good way. So folks now feel accountable to each other, feel accountable to new candidates coming into your district, and mentorship. I think we talk about how organic mentorship at the end of the day is one that's very valuable. So yeah, no, I just want to echo that. I appreciate your disposition and energy. You're leaning in the right direction, and looking forward to seeing what happens in January, and hopefully we continue to see less and less stipulations as we move along.
Me too. And yes, I'm actually going to present to our Board of Education hopefully after our accreditation meeting, because I want the public to know as much as possible and be transparent about all the changes we're making. And just really proud of it.
Thank you. Any further comment or question? This is an action item. Is there a motion to accept the third quarterly report for Pasadena Unified School District? Member Morrison.
I move that the committee accept the third quarterly report on stipulations for Pasadena Unified School District.
Thank you. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Cervantes. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your positive attitude and your acceptance and buy-in to the whole accreditation process and what the intent is. So thank you so much for that. We look forward to seeing you again in January.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a great day. And thank you also, Ms. Sacramento. All right, I'm going to propose we take a 5-minute break. The next couple ones we have are back to back. So let's take 5 and then we'll come back with item, what are we up to now? Item 11, right. I did, yeah. We're going to get started again, folks. If you can grab your seats. I'd like to reconvene the meeting of the Committee on Accreditation. We're going to move on to item 11. Item 11 is a discussion of the 6-month report for San Jose Unified School District. Ms. Hickey will introduce the item, and joining her today to answer any questions you may have are institutional representative Geeta Stowe, coordinator of induction program, and Melita Nerhood, director of secondary curriculum, instruction, and EL services. Anyone need to recuse himself?
Let's make sure they're on first. There's Geeta.
There we go. All right, Ms. Hickey, will you please begin?
Yeah, I am jumping in here because Roxanne Purdue, who is the consultant on this visit, is ill today. So she texted me this morning and said she couldn't be here, but I have been working with Roxanne and Geeta on this. So the institution had a site visit and they have 3 stipulations. The third stipulation is that they submit a 6-month report. And of course, this is the 6-month report. So focused on the first 2 stipulations, and I will just turn it over back to Bob, and you'll let the institution speak on this.
All right, thank you. So we do invite institutional representatives to offer any comment about the report. So either Ms. Stowe or Ms. Nerhood, either one of you are welcome to offer any comment.
Hello, thank you for hearing us. Would you like me to read what Roxanne had written that we were presenting, or I can answer any questions?
I think you could probably just summarize what the actions you've taken on both of these, just at a high level.
Yes, a summary, and then if we have any follow-up questions, we'll be able to do that.
I can do that. So the first stipulation, I'm sorry. It was asking that we enroll, I'm sorry. It was asking about enrolling candidates within 30 days of the start date. And so we do that. And we also have what's called a waiting list for any new hires that are hired in our district that don't have a preliminary credential, so that we don't lose them. So it'd be the interns, STIPs, PIPs. And as soon as they are ready to be in induction, then they are invited to join us in the induction program, either at the beginning of the year or the middle of the year. And in the report, we have lots of links explaining all those. And then there was another stipulation that said that eligible candidates provide evidence that the unit consistently ensures that mentor selection for candidates is consistent with program standard 4. And what we do in this area is we have induction coaches, and then we also have credential alike coaches that help support many of our secondary teachers. For example, like if they teach art or if they teach PE or band, we might not have a coach with that same credential, but so we pair them with a credential alike additional coach to help support them. And so if you have any questions about our report, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
And just so I can jump in on the first one, I think part of the issue was that candidates were having to wait a whole year if they didn't make the cut for the induction program. They are now expanding it, if I understand this correctly, Geeta, to both semesters. So you'll do it in January. You'll also do it in January as well. Is that correct?
Yes, because in talking to our HR department, most of our hires happen at the beginning of the year. So they can start at the beginning of the year, but then we also have candidates that perhaps they're out of state or out of country that were hired at the beginning of the year, but they don't receive their preliminary credential till maybe October, November, December. So we opened up another starting point, which would be January.
Right. And then the second one, that part of the issue was that you use full-time release, a cohort of the full-time release folks. And those are distributed, I guess, by site. So the candidates weren't necessarily getting that credential alike person to help. And so you have come up with a system to make sure that credential alike, those needs are occurring, that support is occurring.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hang on just a second. And just so you know, Ms. Stowe and everybody else who's listening, is the committee here, they have access to the report. They also have access to the recommendations set forth by the team and by the CTC here at this point. So we appreciate you giving us a summary, but just so you know, we do have the details here. It's not a matter that we don't have access to them, but just as for you an opportunity to speak about your program. Member Grace, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted a little bit more. I know, it's in the report, but I just kind of wanted to understand the mentor alike situation again, in terms of locating those people, and I guess why don't you have the mentors that have the credentialed teacher?
Okay, so in our district, we have full-time release mentors / coaches at the elementary level and at the secondary, because we're a TK-12. And so many of our coaches, they have credentials in all different areas, but we don't necessarily have a band teacher or a art teacher coach, or perhaps a Spanish teacher coach. And so those are the ones that we are getting extra support. And also, we have been trying for the last couple of years to get a special ed secondary coach, which we have not been successful in. So we're working with the special ed department to get support for all our special ed teachers in that area.
And the information may be here, but I was just looking at the report, and it looks like this year you have 180 new teachers, but 36 coaches. So is it correct to assume that these coaches have like a lot of candidates that they're supporting, like multiple candidates per coach? Just as looking at that 180 to 36 ratio.
Yes, so the coaches range, some of them might have 10, depending on what, how many induction teachers are at their school site as well.
And those would be those, so if they have 10, they're a full-time release coach and all they're doing is supporting those 10?
Yes, they're full-time release. All 37 of those are the full-time release coaches that support our teachers. And last year we only had 124 induction teachers, and this year we have 180. So yes, our coaches are supporting more teachers this year than they were last year.
Thank you.
Member Morrison.
How many of those approximately were in that category of new teachers who fell into that gap between the beginning of the school year and now that I know they only have to wait till January rather than the following year, but how many of that group approximately is it each year?
It varies. This year, our district hired a large number from out of state and out of country who are all still waiting for their preliminary credentials. So as of yesterday, I only have one candidate that is ready with their preliminary to start in January, but HR is going to follow up with them over the next couple weeks to see. So we probably could have 25 joining us in January.
And how many won't be ready for January? Are there any, do you think?
Yes, there's about 60 on our list that are still, they're either STIPs, PIPs, interns, or something that's a person that doesn't have a preliminary credential. And then we did have 2 people at the beginning of the year that had a preliminary credential with induction on it, but they asked to defer because they had out of state experience. And once that went through CTC, then they no longer needed induction. So we always wait to see what the preliminary credential says before we put them in induction. But they do have access to a coach that they could get support from at their school site if they need to.
Okay, thank you.
Member Hallis, and then Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Good morning. Can you tell me a little bit more about how the full-time release induction coaches and these credential-alike coaches communicate and how they're making sure they're aligning the supports for the candidate?
Sure. So the induction coach is the primary coach that works with the teacher in creating their ILP and their ILP goal and reflecting on the progress that they've made through their goal. And the credential-alike coach meets with them for at least a minimum of an hour a month to talk about specifics with their subject area. So for example, the 2 band teachers meet at least once a month for an hour to talk about anything that the new band teacher needs help and support in specifically in band.
Thank you. So I know they meet with the candidates, it sounds like this credential-alike, but do the credential-alike mentors or coaches also meet with the induction coaches?
They don't directly meet with them, but the credential-alike let the coach know when they have met with their candidate so that the induction coach can log it on their log of coaching hours.
I thank you. Member Tchaikovsky.
So Member Hallis asked the question that I think is really essential. And secondary teachers who are new teach in content unique environments. And it's imperative that a new teacher at that level have ongoing articulated support with a coach or mentor who is familiar with the particular curricular requirements of that assignment. So I would strongly encourage you to take a second look at this full-time only design that you have for your program. 1 hour a month is not enough for some new teacher to get the support they need in specific curricular contexts, period. I would definitely say that. So I think the question the member Hollis just asked also is about building wraparound support. You use that word in your report, but wraparound support would involve articulation on an ongoing basis among the mentors who are providing support for candidates. So I would say absolutely, I would need to see, I looked at your 23-24 roster and coach match. I found almost no like content matches, and that's problematic.
I thank you, Co-Chair Tchaikovsky. Yes, you're welcome to respond.
Yes, so Melita Nairhood here. Many of our teachers, we content matched all of our teachers. So I'm not sure what you're not seeing there on that report or what Gita shared. The teachers, it's not 1 hour only. It's they can meet more with their with the content specific, and many of our teachers have a content specific coach, just one that's meeting with them all the time. It's the teachers who we have the one-off credentials that we don't have a coach to support them, a full-time coach to support them. Unfortunately, we would love to hire more coaches, but we that can specifically support these teachers on a full-time basis, but we haven't been, we're more focused on filling our classroom roles. And so in response to that, we are finding ways to be able to do both things, to coach our new teachers, support our new teachers, as well as provide them with the content specific support that they need. The coaches the ones that don't have a match are actually getting a content specific coach, and they're getting a coach that can coach them instructionally. So they're getting a significant amount of support equal to the ones that have a content specific coach and don't need kind of that secondary content specific, because we don't have the ability to have a coach in our district office that can support every single content area that we have in our sites. So we are working very hard to try to ensure that they do get those supports in their content area, because absolutely we agree that teachers do need that specific content support as well as instructional support.
Thank you. I think my remark is based on the second to last link that's in that agenda item. And I'm just asking you this to kind of encourage you to think about alternative models that might allow you the flexibility to meet the needs of these increasing numbers of people. You're looking at an uptick in the number of candidates you have. One-off credential teachers are important teachers. They're teaching in subject areas where they might even be more isolated than teachers who have, or are more easily matched. So, in the spirit of equity and universal support for teachers in our system, we need to make sure that every teacher is afforded the same access to resources. So again, just questioning the very expensive allocation of resources to full-time mentors only. Be rethinking that, because there are other programs throughout the state which offer different ways to get this job done.
And I want to clarify, they're getting equal amount of support and time. We certainly are not, we're definitely keeping that in mind. So we're making sure that they are getting the equal supports.
All right, thank you. So members Lee, then member Crecia, and member McKee.
Again, thank you for the report. I just want to recognize that, I work in a county that has a lot of rural districts with small teaching populations. So we understand the difficulty, even though San Jose Unified is on the different on the different end of the spectrum in that case. But however, the difficulty is with staffing and everything else that districts around the state are experiencing is understandable. I mean, obviously, ideally, we would be able to provide every band teacher with a like credentialed mentor. But we have districts that serve, 250, 300 kids that have one band teacher and they're 45 minutes away and they don't have anybody else on staff. So we've had to, look to how do we serve in our county those folks. And so I understand the difficulty that San Jose Unified is going through. I think it's the fact that they have full-time mentors in their district is a great resource for most of their teachers. Obviously, not everything that happens in a program is going to meet the needs of everybody. So I just hope, again, that you've heard the request for due diligence, which sounds like you're doing the best you can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Creasy.
Yeah, just to kind of follow up on that, I do understand how difficult that is. And when I was asking about the how that worked and how it was organized, in the response, I thought I heard that that everybody had the same setup, but what I hear late and differently now is that you're saying that everybody does have that mentor coach from the full-time release, and then there are some candidates that have the additional support of the teacher, the credential alike. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. About how many candidates does that affect? About how many are in that situation where they have the credential alike?
Gita?
I have, that's not a number I can pull out of the top of my head. I would say about 40. I can show that on the year out report better if you'd like. But
yeah, that would be really, because that's a significant amount. It really is. And I would, just to echo what we've all been saying, you might want to think about that a little bit harder, but I do appreciate the due diligence that you guys are trying to put in. So thank you.
And a large,
thank you, Member McKee.
Sorry, a large part
ahead,
of that is special ed because we don't have, we're struggling with special ed coaches. So. All
right, thank you. Member McKee.
So I think I'm going to echo the echo. First of all, the commendation. I want it to be clear. People aren't on a waiting list. So there are teachers being supported. That's a great step. And I think that needs to be acknowledged loud and clear. That's kind of why I was asking about the 180 teachers, 36 coaches. You made it happen. And that's commendable. I think where the questions and the extensions of everybody else, I look at some multiple subject teachers are supporting mod severe ed specialists. That's a weekly support that's needed, if not a daily support. So that 1 hour a month, it may not be all that teacher needs. So in my mind, I think I'm looking at teacher retention. If we have 180 teachers being hired and we're not retaining the teachers, is there a connection between them getting those proper supports with those job alikes? And I think that's just the echo of the wondering. But not to ignore the fact that you have everybody with a mentor is a great step. So I think that's just the ongoing piece of the common wonderings that we may have.
And I just want to add additionally to this that, when we had these findings, this was kind of what we created to be able to support the needs of those content teachers that didn't have the content specific support. So I appreciate those of you that are acknowledging the fact that we have implemented this layer of support. I realize in a perfect world we would have a full-time support person for every content area. We would love that. But unfortunately, we aren't able to, we're just not able to hire. We want to fill our classrooms first. So this definitely is, I think, a better way that we are approaching this situation. And we have had to get creative with it. So again, appreciate those of you that, have been able to see that in our presentation.
Co-Chair Tchaikovsky.
Just one final note about ed specialists. We've been talking a lot about that today in various contexts as a really important discipline and teaching field. I would challenge you to think, how are you attracting the right ed specialists into potential mentoring roles? How can you create a pull for the right person into those jobs? It sounds like you've posted for it. It sounds like you're trying to find people. How are you pitching it out there to the people that you need? That might be something to think about, because it's a pretty big district and there's good teachers who are ed specialists in your community. Sorry, my colleague was
We hire
looking like he wanted to say something.
From our experienced teachers into our coaching positions. And many of our teachers would prefer to be with their students. We don't hire coaches externally or induction, mentors externally. We want people who have the experience of our district.
Member Cervantes.
I know, to echo some of the comments my colleagues here are making, I think it might be, there is room for innovation and maybe to think a little bit creatively. You have IHEs in the area, San Jose State, among others, Santa Clara as well, where having an inroad there to be able to tap into the professional expertise that you might have in those colleges of education and so forth to provide a supplemental piece to this. And I commend you for trying. I lived in San Jose for a long time, so I understand the complexities here. You also have other smaller districts around the area. But we think about retention. We think about what will keep a teacher in a classroom, and we also want that teacher to feel seen and supported. And feeling seen and having that sense of belonging in a community of practice can certainly help. So I just invite you to think and consider perhaps tapping into outsourcing and other types of resources in your area that might be able to provide supplemental support in this effort.
Thank you, Member Cervantes. Member McKee.
The other thought I wanted to share, it came to my mind, and I hear that you want to look at internal, and previous comment that was said by Member Tchaikovsky is that if you spend $100,000 a year on a coach, that could be 50 mentors at a $2,000 stipend. So when you think about, I'm not here to define how districts are run, but I'm thinking there may be teachers who may want to do this on the side as an added support, grade level PLC type piece that could be an opening that doesn't cost you more money. And I'm just throwing an idea out there because I know many of us have worked with colleagues in that similar situation. You might be able to save money, possibly even in the long run. So just a thought, and as I think about trying to support.
That is what we're doing for our one-offs. We're hiring our teachers to support in the content areas.
So the follow-up, I'm thinking instead of the one-off is the coach. Like maybe perhaps that could be the mentor. And I think that was where my suggestion was coming from, is to look at envisioning innovative that the mentor is that person. So it sounds like you have structures and people in place, but maybe like was said earlier, like finding those innovative ways to kind of collapse those pieces together.
All right, thank you, Member McKee. Any further item discussions? Anything new to bring to the table? All right, seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion? Member Cracia.
I move that we accept the 6-month progress report for San Jose Unified School District.
So moved. Is there a second? Second by Member Cervantes. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Right. Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you for engaging in the discussion and for the suggestions and comments that we have here, recognizing it's all for the good of the cause and positive intent is really what we hope to achieve. And I'm sure you do the same. You're making some really good progress, and we look forward to next time we see you in the report. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to move on to item number 12. It's a discussion of the second quarterly report